Welcome to the Futurist Mindset Show featuring CORAnet and Fifth Avenue Capital. Hello, everyone. My name is Tessa, and I have Reagan Rodriguez, who is a futurist that teaches stratosphere wealthy legacy families how to become impact investors. Hey, Reagan, how are you?
I'm doing better than I deserve. Tessa, how
Aw.
are you on this Friday afternoon?
I'm just lovely today. Thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us and I can see you in the chat right now. Just let us know if you're watching live, hashtag live, so we know you're here with us. But Regan, I know we're speaking of teaching, you're actually going to do some teaching today for us, I heard.
I am. I thought we'd do something a little different. The feedback that I've gotten from previous shows is that some people have said, Regan, how would I investigate a business before I invest in it? Or I've
Mhm.
gotten people that have sent me emails that have said that they've made mistakes in the past of investing maybe using rather kind of emotion, and then later they realized they made an unwise decision. So I'll just get right to it. Actually, I don't want to get right to it. Why don't we introduce
Yes,
Cora? Why don't we have Cora on
of
here
course. Hello,
with
Hi,
CORAnet
Cora.
everybody.
Solutions? Cora has been a friend of mine for a while. We've kept in touch. I remember one time we had, Cora, I remember we used to talk on the phone quite a bit because you would tell me a lot about this technology. And then one time I remember, I think I sent you an email and I had mentioned to you that my travels were going to take me to the Washington, D.C. area. And I remember we got together at that Ritz Carlton that's in
That's
D.C. and we ended up getting together for a 4 hour cup of coffee. You
right.
remember that? We had
Yes.
Coke and coffee, and Leo your boyfriend as well, and we had a good time. And from there, gosh, I think that might have been about 8, 9 years ago, if not longer, wasn't it?
It's
Maybe
about,
10
yes.
years ago when we got together. And from there, Cora and I always kept in touch. And she would always let me know about new milestones they would have with this technology. And so then she reached back out to me. How long ago was it that you reached back out to me? Was it maybe 6 months ago, Cora?
Just about, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
from there, I mentioned that I had a solution for CORAnet solutions. And not only is this a technology that I got involved in, and I already got some investors that have made some soft commitments, but I also want to share with all of you how you would investigate a business before you invest in it. Tessa, will you show up that kind of picture slide I showed you that shows vision, summary, market pain, just kind of in order? Yeah, yeah. That's exactly what I use. So if you want to take a picture of that, if you're watching, what I would recommend is put it in an email in order in Word format. And when you're looking at a business plan, when they go over the vision, cut and paste it and put that on there. They may not have summary as the number 2 section, but somewhere on there where they mention it, paste it on there. Then you want to find out what's the problem, what's the need within the business, and then do they have a solution for it? Put it in that order. So, Tessa, you can put me on the screen now. So, if I was investing in a assisted living facility, right? Then I would want to see something like, did you know by 2030, there will be 71.5 million Americans over the age of 65, which is more than double the, do you get the point? I want to see forward looking statements like that. Or I want to maybe see in the business plan, maybe they're going to say something like, hey, I'm going to show you a world in which the problem is solved once and for all. The business plan doesn't have to say exactly that. But do you get the point? I want to see wording like that. How is it going to solve that problem? Or speaking of pain points, I want to see problems. I want to see challenges within that business. Pain. I want to read something like Have you ever waited in a long line at a grocery store? And when I'm reading that, I'm thinking, yes, that happened the other day. And then I want to read something like, did you get frustrated? Yes. And then they're going to talk about how their vision is to make sure that this never happens again. And then I want to say, okay, how's it not going to happen again? I want to then read below how there's this idea, and it's called Amazon Prime. And so now you see my point, Tessa?
Yes.
That proves the point that that's something I'd invest in. Why? Because within less than 5 minutes, they were able to show me how they could help me achieve this. So then on the summary, let's put the pitch deck back up. I want to see the vision. And then you notice on CORAnet solutions, within the
Yes.
first paragraph there, in that last paragraph on that section, she goes into the summary. You guys can read that later. But here's what I want to see on there. What does the company do? And do they solve that problem? Right? Is there pain? I want to write down what that pain is. If you're looking at the business plan, maybe cut and paste what that is and put it in your email, or in the body of the email, or in Word format. Because I want to see the problem. Is it so painful that now I want to invest in it? What is the why behind it? What are the unique success factors to the business? Speaking of pain, let's go to that section. Let's go to the section where it says challenge, right? What does the market need? Why does it need you? What is the problem? If I was to read only 12% of the time, XYZ, right? Fill in the blank. Only 12% of the time it does this, then I want to find out how big is the pain. So then if I was to read in our current solution costs X amount, and 90% of moms can't afford this. And then I want to see the solution. Now, let's get Cora back on here.
Yes.
Cora.
Yes, she's
let's
here.
Go back to you. What is the problem, right? Let's go back to that. What does CORAnet Solutions do? What is the pain? What is the problem? And then what is the why behind it and the unique success factors?
Thank you, Reagan. Well, I'd like to ask the question, imagine a world without patients. There will be no doctors, there will be no hospitals, there will be no caregivers. But that's not the kind of world we live in. We have patients, and each of us could be a patient anytime. However, we're always the last to know about our health records, or even know what's going on and what the doctors are planning to do for us. So the goal of CORAnet, and it's my vision, to empower people like you and I and people on the streets, ownership, control, and access to their consolidated, organized health records that they could access on demand anytime, anywhere, with and without connection. It answers to the following questions.
Yeah.
Who will speak for you if you're unconscious? What happens if you're traveling and you fell ill and doctors are racing against time to save you and they don't know about your medical history? And what happens as well if you are not able to go see your doctor and you're stuck at home? So those are the issues on the patient side.
I like that. That to me helps solve the solution. I'm sorry, Cora, did I interrupt you? Was there something else you were going to share on that?
Yes, I would like now to address.
Go ahead.
I'd like now to address the health industry itself and the cost of healthcare.
Yeah, please do.
Because of duplicated records, no interoperable records, meaning the records don't talk to each other. There is escalating cost, disjointed care due to lack of coordination of records. And duplicated records have been known to cause wrongful deaths, medication errors, misdiagnosis, and fatalities. There's actually a Johns Hopkins report, and I have to look at my notes on that, that says
Go ahead.
between 250,000 to 440,000 people die a year due to medical errors. And for medication errors, about 7 to 9,000 people die every year. It's costing the health industry between $40 billion and $65 billion. And for duplicated tests, 30 billion. So those are the statistics. And those are the problems that we're trying to solve. It may not be.
Oh, but you guys aren't trying. You guys are actually solving them.
Okay.
Yeah.
True.
Would you see, to me, that's already the solution. They have the solution. We could go to the competition, but to me, that already satisfied the answer. Cora, do you want to talk a little bit more? Is there another solution? Is there another solution on how you're solving that pain?
Somebody wants her. Well, I just wanted to take one real quick second, Reagan, and talk about this is the solution, but the solution also lives where the solution lives. So the patient's data lives on the phone. I think what everyone thinks is now the insurance agencies and the doctors will have everything. The patient's information lives on the phone, and not selling the information. So to me, that's a big deal.
That's very good. And Tessa, you reminded me of that. You don't mind, put the pitch deck back up again. Because
of course.
One of the things that I say when I'm looking for the solution and you're investigating a business that you're deciding to invest in, you're doing your due diligence. Here's what I want to look for. In that section of the solution, I want to see a visual.
Yes, that's in the competitor section on this one.
Yeah.
Visual,
so then,
how it
perfect
works.
example. That describes the service. So now let's get to the competition, which is the next section. I want to know that there's competition. And I want to know, how are the customers currently solving their pain? And then I want to know, if I'm going to invest in this business, then what are their competitive advantages? And then I'm also going to want to know what's the plan around it. So Cora, if I ask you, how are your customers currently solving their pain? And what is your competitive advantage? How would you answer that?
Sure. Well, let me just kind of remind everyone that our system is based on the ubiquity of mobile phones. And just on the side, I just want to mention that it's been said that people have more access to mobile phones than a toilet. So that's how ubiquitous it is. But in any case, addressing the competition, we love competition, and I'm happy there's competition. Because without competition, that means there's no need for our services. However, I'd like to say that we are a cut above the rest because of the following features. Tessa already alluded to that. One, we do not store data on our servers. Data are stored in the phone. So it provides complete privacy and security. And also we send the data automatically from disparate sources, organized and consolidated and encrypted automatically to the mobile device. And updates are also sent to the phone if there are encounters in the back end. Let's say they see the doctor or go to the hospital. They're automatically sent to the phone, whether it's an emergency, inpatient, outpatient, or telemedical consultation. Now,
I don't know how many people actually have accurate medical records of themselves in the world, because we don't get the information from the doctors at all. Yeah. So I think that's huge that you would actually have it automatically pushes to your phone. So you have all the information in one spot. And those emergencies.
You could carry it anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to add, Reagan.
If he does want to add more, then yes, please do.
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
We also pride ourselves in the fact that we have international patents, and in the US, China, and Canada, with 2 more pending in the EU and the UK. And also would like to mention that our patent has been cited 88 times compared to others that have been only cited 5 times, because that shows that there's so much.
Did I hear that right? Oh my goodness.
88 times, meaning there's
I
so
mean,
many people trying
yeah,
to get into our space. And so I just thought I would mention that to you.
yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned that. So now do you guys see she has a plan? Tessa, if you don't mind putting back up the pitch deck, because again, I want you guys to make a well-informed decision by doing your due diligence. So let's look at the plan, and they have a sales plan around it, right? What you want to look for here is, I want to know, how long is the sales cycle? Is this like real estate where there's a long hold period? Then I want to look at the team section. I know that there are people out there that they say that's the most important part. I don't necessarily agree with that, because
Can I
when you're
just say
first
one
starting,
quick thing
I would like for
about,
you to, yeah, please, Tessa.
sorry, Cora, I know you mentioned this, but there's a lot of
Uh-huh.
government, there's requirements in the government right now that they have to comply to some of these things, right? So
Sure.
can you just explain that really quickly?
Sure. There are two mandates right now from the government, from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services and the Office of the National Coordinator of the Health Information Technology of the United States. And the two mandates are the 21st Century Cures Act and the CMS Interoperability and Patient Access Rule. There is a reporting requirement for payers, hospitals, and doctors to be able to show the government that they're actively working on providing people access to their health records. So those are the two mandates from the government. So that's why our technology is very timely. And the way that I'm trying to do this is for people not to pay for it, and instead go give it to them as a fringe benefit through health insurance plans from the payers, from the self-insured corporations, even telecom companies and governments, whether it's federal or state. So it would be a win-win for everyone, both the patients, the payers to reduce their costs from duplicated tests and wrongful administration of medications, but also to reduce malpractice insurance, because then you're going to be reduce all of the incidents of those, of the wrongful deaths, wrong medications, and
Yeah,
duplicated tests.
It just makes it
very
a
good.
little less risky, right? There's a need, there's actually a mandate that says this has to be happening. So if you're the solution, it's easier, it's less of a risk, I should say.
I'm glad you brought that up, Tessa, because you're right. Speaking of risk, now we're getting to the next part within the pitch deck, right? I'm just wanting to keep us on
Yes,
target,
sorry.
guys, right?
We're
No,
good.
no, hey, we only have so much time as we're doing this. So just everyone has to keep that in mind as you're doing your own due diligence on a project. So on the next section on there, I believe we're now at the section, Tessa, if
Oh,
you
let me put it on
point
the
that
screen
back
here
up.
again. I thought I was
Please.
sharing it. So we're in team right now.
Yeah, we
Sure.
were on the team. And so what I mentioned is, yes, people do say that's the most important part. It's not the most important part. When you're first starting, the other way around, I don't want to know that there's umpteen people on a salary. I want to know that they're going to be putting that team together as certain milestones take place. So then I want to know what those milestones are as we go to that next section. Then I want to see what the financials are. Look at those. Make sure that it makes sense, right? Will they need more money, and why, right? What's their burn rate? Now, getting to the risk factors, we're going to get to the 12 reasons, the section below that, Tessa, where it says 12
Oh,
reasons
yes.
a cafe is a better fundraising option.
Mhm.
Now, Cora's valuation, very important, I want to point out, came out to $10 a share when we did the valuation. But we purposely discounted it for the first year to early investors for $8.
Mm.
So I'll explain discounted rate, in a year later, their investment can go up to 10. What I'd like you to do instead is, why don't you the screen on, Tessa, so that they see how they would invest.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
Okay.
in other words, they would go to the Fifth
Yes.
Avenue Capital website.
Fifth Avenue Capital, and then you can go to portfolio page and
You'd go to
down
portfolio,
to net.
scroll below, click on CORAnet Solutions,
Yep. And then we
and then
have
click.
the, The PDF's here, but you can actually download the PDF.
Very good. Go ahead. You can take it from here, Tessa.
All right. And then if you click on invest, it does go to Fairmint portal, and you are in, let me just make sure. Yes. So if you haven't logged in before, you're going to sign up. You put your email and all the acknowledgments, and then it will send you a code. So you don't need a password. It actually sends you a code each time you log in for you to get into the system. And you just put that in and you'll get in the back end.
Thank you, Tessa.
No problem.
Let me explain the discounted rate, because their valuation's at 10, but you'll see that they have it at $8. So let me explain how that works. Okay. A year later, the investment will go back up to $10 or more based on certain milestones. But let's assume this is a complete failure. It's not the worst thing, by the way. Then if you were to divide 10 by 100 and then multiply it by 25, then you subtract that number from the original price of 10, then the answer would be 2.5. And yes, that number is the discounted price. So with all that being said, it is accurate to refer to it as a 25% return on investment. Now, what we're going to do is, with all that being said, Cora?
Yes.
Are you positioned? Because this is what I want to find out, okay? What I want to find out is that person positioned for a unique success factor? Is there a unique success factor 1, 2, or 3? So how would you describe that? What is that unique success factor that CORAnet Solutions has?
Well, we are very strong on the patent side. There are government mandates that support our technology. We have access to 200 engineers and software developers. The government is now starting to look into this technology. As a matter of fact, I just responded to a request for information from one of the states that I cannot mention at this point. And talking to a few people to be able to partner with us. But I'm not going to mention names right now, but the possibility is very, very strong. That's correct.
Good. Thank you for that, Cora. I've appreciated this and working with you. Tessa?
Yes.
I know that there have been some early investors that I've known for years. They've been friends with me. Would you like to put up Grace and Pam on the screen, please? And I've known them for years, and Pam had been telling me for years, Reagan, if you ever hear about a business that you think would be viable for me to invest in, let me know. So from there, she would call me again, and I'd say, let's hold off. And then from there, as I mentioned at the beginning, Cora called me. I had not heard from you in a few years. And then I called Pam up and I said, I think I found something that is going to be really big. And it's the technology. And then I started talking to Grace about it, because Grace has a very, very intuitive, she's also very, very wise. She has a degree in economics. She is quite the numbers gal. So I said, Grace, check this out. What do you think as well? So before I have you talk, Pam, I wanted to have Grace, and I think you might be on mute right now, Grace, but if you could talk a little bit about what is it specifically you saw in CORAnet Solutions and or Cora that made you want to invest in this, and
absolutely. Hey, Reagan. Hey, Cora. Great to see you. And sure. Well, first of all, Reagan, I think part of investing in somebody is investing in the person. And when I met Cora is brilliant. And, she came up with this idea, it's an idea, it's an investment that helps society. Some investments can help, businesses or entities or, certain, maybe even industries. But this is actually technology that will help society. And so I think it's much greater than we're all realizing. And putting that together, Cora is absolutely brilliant. And she has been, working on this and diligent and, developing for such a time. She has incredible knowledge. And so I was excited to be able to not only meet Cora and understand the investment, but jump on board with something that can help change society.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Grace, before we then, I'm going to have Pam talk a little bit as well. But before that, do you have a question? Because I know this is the Futurist Mindset show. And I know you've seen a few of these shows and know that people sometimes want to ask a question to me. So if you've got a question, go for it.
I do. And Reagan, we love that you're a futurist. We love that.
Thank you.
So, Reagan, I'd love to know if you could help us create a simple formula for focus that can guide our mindset today.
Let me first answer the question, and then I'll go into it further. You asked the question about, here's the answer. Create a simple focus that will guide your mindset today. It's that simple. Just create a simple focus that will guide your mindset today. So with that being in mind, now let me talk about that. How simple can you make your focus today? Think of maybe one common theme or intention that will support everything you have on your plate right now. So, Grace, with you, it might be a certain sales goal you're wanting to hit. I know for myself, it's an affirmation. Or this morning, it was a belief statement. See, guys, simplicity, what that does is that's going to provide instant clarity for that productivity you're looking for. I'm going to say that again because it came out well. Simplicity provides instant clarity for productivity. Now, conversely, by being bogged down with so many things to do or focus on, I know for me what that does is that then that makes things complicated or burdensome, and it doesn't need to be. So if all we really do is just allow our focus. No, let me say that again. I take it back. When we allow our focus to run away, then we can get caught up in the kind of weeds of distraction, right? You then have regret, doubt, and then if you're like me, you then start worrying about something that may not even come to pass. So the important thing is to practice being present and grateful right here, right now. Why? Because all you have and need is within you right now. So now gently redirect your focus to the present moment throughout your day with, as I mentioned, Grace, one simple focus statement and affirmation. With that being said, Pam, I know that you were looking at investing in an alternative energy project, and I had said, let's hold off on it. I don't think they really quite have it. You looked at another alternative energy, and I'm like, that's a very long hold. So what is it that you saw in CORAnet Solutions and or Cora and or anything else that you'd like to share?
Well, I love what Grace said. Investing in the person is so key. But Reagan, I trust you. That was the main reason, is that I trust anything that you say, because you just really are you validate what is good and what's not good. But I was able to kind of understand how this is going to work firsthand. My dad was in the hospital, and he had, with urologists, he had been in 3 different hospitals because of different places had different, things that he needed.
Sure.
And right before surgery, they had to search for, did he have EKG? Where was the last EKG done? We don't know. Are we going to have to do an EKG? So it would be wonderful to have all of that in one place, that there's no confusion on what meds he's on, what, if he's had different blood work, if he's on, different things that the other doctors said that he shouldn't be on. So I love the idea. I think it wouldn't have mattered, Reagan, because I trusted you. But once I learned to, what this was all about and met Cora, it was absolutely a no-brainer to invest and say, this is a great place to see the future and really help people and help, I think, also the medical field, because they had to do a lot of things to try to figure out where the EKG was, and that would have been a lot of help for them as well. But Reagan, I would love to ask you a question if that's okay. During growth mode.
Go ahead. I was just going to say,
during
Tessa,
growth mode, you have these uncomfortable feelings, and I would love for you to talk about how to handle those uncomfortable feelings during growth mode.
Yes, and what I was going to say is, Tessa, this will be the last question. This time now, we're at 30 minutes over, so this will be the last question, and then you'll just kind of wrap up.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm going to put one thing on the screen because we've had so many things that you guys have said. Al mentioned that he loves the CORAnet solution and is happy to see the collaboration around the pitch deck and what you were teaching. So thank you, Al. We appreciate you being here. And Jimmy, of course, too, had lovely things to say. So now we can go on to your mindset question here.
And I'm sorry, Pam, I was getting distracted with different things and other questions. So thank you, Al, for your comment, and Jimmy as well. One more time, I know the question was about growth mode. Help me out one more time, Pam, and it'll give me a chance to think of some things.
Well, I think that the uncomfortable feelings that you have during that growth mode, I know you are a futurist, and so you know how to handle those uncomfortable feelings. And so I'd love just to ask you if you could just talk a little bit about that.
Okay. All right. I'm going to answer the question in the same way I did with Grace and in a similar way, because it's the right answer. Do one thing today that makes you feel uncomfortable and do it while in growth mode. So being uncomfortable is an indication that you're in growth mode. When you create a new vision or a new goal, what I've noticed is that then life immediately responds by bringing about change in your path. So why does that happen? It happens so that we can become more aligned with what you desire. So in the process of adjustment, Pam, as those are being made on your behalf, or excuse me, those adjustments are being made on your behalf, even if you don't realize it. As a result, you may not feel the same way or respond in the same way to people or situations in your life. Why? Because let's go back to answering the question. What did you do? You did one thing that made you feel uncomfortable while in growth mode. So let me wrap this up. New visions require growth, which may require a change in your personal or kind of professional kind of relations with people, right? You may have to do a friends inventory. Change is relevant in your growth path. And oftentimes what I've noticed is you need to have a very honest and open conversation about how you think and how you feel, right? Because the good news is that it'll move you forward if you do that. Keep your vision and desired outcome at the heart of your inner dialogue.
I love it. I love it. And fear or that
Yes.
uncomfortable is the same chemical reaction as excitement. So I always remind myself if I'm really nervous about something, I just not even a reminder. I just tell myself it's not, it's excitement. I'm just excited about the change I'm going to be getting. Back to what Reagan was saying about having that vision of your overall goal of what you're trying to achieve. So thank you so much. Thank you, Cora. I know we have had a lovely time getting to know CORAnet and Reagan with his advice, and our two guests, Pam and Grace. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to go ahead. Reagan, did you need to say anything else before we finish up today?
We are done, and thank you for hosting and helping Tessa on this. And again, thank you, Cora. You knocked it out of the park. You did great.
And if you guys want any more information, of course, I'm going to put the links in, but it's the Fifth Avenue website. You just click on portfolios again to go and check out the project. And if you have any questions, reach out to Reagan or leave a comment on the post. We keep an eye on these. And you can also sign up. I'll go ahead and put, thank you, Pam. Thank you, Grace. I'm going to go ahead and put you guys in the back office. We're here every Friday at noon Eastern time. Helps if I get my coasts right here. But we are here every Friday at noon. So if you do want to get reminders when we go live so that you can participate and be part of the conversation and see these awesome projects and learn from the futurist himself, Reagan Rodriguez, you can just hit the subscribe bell. All right. Well, thank you, Reagan. Thank you for all your advice, and we'll see you next week. Have a blessed week, everyone.